is now a good time to be a musician?
Why would you ever stop?
He's one of the most influential music producers in music history. Rodney, Darkchild, Jerkins.
I was actually in the studio producing Beyoncé, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Justin Bieber. I was in the studio. They were like in the booth and I was the one to do that again. And if this is my passion to make music, then I think that I got a good shot. Here's the tricky part, right? There's so many ears and so many eyeballs in the world. How do I get to them? I'll tell you how we do it.
What's the lowest part of your career?
True, that's a deep question. I needed to break from everything. I need to reset. Even computers know they need to be refreshed. And I needed to refresh. And that's when I came back and did Deja Vu. And then Lose My Breath and Telephone and One Wish and As Long As You Love Me. If you learn to take certain phrases out of your vocabulary, you have a better shot in life. Whatever you sow, you shall reap.
Welcome to And the Writer Is. I'm your host, Ross Golan. Today's 2025 Songwriter Hall of Fame inductee is back. He is making his second appearance on this podcast. He invented the sound of an era. He defined the trajectory of superstars. He mentored some of the greatest writers of the past decade. We discussed a lot of this in our first time around, but we are just getting started. Thank you, songwriters of North America, aka Sona, and the fine people at Dima and YouTube Music, because we are here in front of a live audience at Amazon Music in Brooklyn, New York, to celebrate songwriters with my friend. And the writer is the incomparable Rodney Jerkins. It's good to see you.
The joke's on you, Ross. I'm interviewing you today.
Oh my God.
You know, he gives so much of his energy and his time to all of us, and we should be giving it back to him. You feel
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. From Ocean, from Ocean Blue?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but every time I see Benny Blanco, every time he goes in his voice, he knows like, Across the Ocean Blue, which is a song I wrote with Rodney. And you have to understand, this is what makes Rodney great. There are a lot of people in the music business who are trying to find the next superstar that someone else found right before them. Like they're willing to put their name on the line as soon as they know a few other people put their name on the line first. And that is not Rodney. Like he brought me in to a studio before I had, hits. I had some songs out, but I didn't have, there's no reason why, we spent a lot of time together. And you didn't have to take that risk, but you did, and you've done that a lot. And so, you can get rewarded a lot this week for the songs that you've written, but you've made careers, man.
Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
In the last podcast, we don't have to repeat too much of it, but I think it's good for people to recognize that you're just a kid from New Jersey.
South Jersey. That's right.
And it's Atlantic City, like outside of Atlantic City, a suburb of Atlantic City.
I was born in Atlantic City, and I was raised in the suburb of Atlantic City, probably like 15 minutes west of Atlantic City. And I built a studio in Pleasantville, New Jersey. It wasn't always pleasant, right? But it's your stomping grounds, And so I enjoy going back home every summer for a few weeks just to see that.
You go back there a lot?
I'm there every summer, 3 weeks.
When you walk into CVS there, people are like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun, man. It's really fun, that part, whatever. But for me, it's more so just to know like the air in which, you breathe and where you come from, it means a lot to who you are. And so the stories of me being 16, 17, 18 years old, catching the New Jersey Transit from Atlantic City to Manhattan, 42nd Street, trying to meet with Bruce Carbone, who gave me my first production deal. Me and one of my boys from high school, his name was Hodge. And we had a song that we did called Head Nod. And somehow my attorney at the time introduced me to Bruce Carbone. And he's like, I love it, Rod, let's go. And we did a singles deal for that. And then it turned into another deal with Gina Thompson, who's from Violin, New Jersey, which my best friend right there, holding my phone right there, lives in Violin, New Jersey. We've been best friends since third grade. And so for me, when I go home, I'm reflecting on that. It's like, man, like, yo, I don't look at buses the way everybody else looks at buses, right? That bus was my Bentley. That bus was my Mercedes. And for me to get on that bus as much as I did, to know that maybe it wasn't a studio with the best speakers in South Jersey, but there was a kid who had a vision in his little brain of his to make music and know that one day somebody would care, right? Someone would care. And then you get in those offices and you get next to a Bruce Carbone and you get next to a Evan Lamberg and Brian Jackson and these different people, and you start to realize, dang, some people care.
Yeah.
And that's why I always encourage songwriters to keep writing. Like, don't stop, because you never know when that thing is going to just come where it was like, wow, I got a revelation, I got a vision. And the song that hit me today, it might have took me 15 years to get to it, but I got to it, right? I got to it.
There's a philosophy that taste isn't something that you teach. Skill is something you teach. And that you're born with taste, and not everybody has that. And most songwriters, when they're just starting out, they write that first song, it sucks. They write the second song, it sucks, but they're starting to figure out, man, I know I can write like Rodney Jerkins someday, but I'm listening to my songs and they do not sound like that. So you keep writing until your skill matches your taste. But your journey is so prodigious. You were creating the highest level of music in the world at such a young age. What do you attribute your seemingly instant success to?
It was the opposite way for me. So the way I thought was, dang, my songs sound better than what I'm listening to right now. At least for me. Like, I would literally I would listen to things. I was 13 years old, and I was doing like local demos for people. And I would listen to my local demo, and I would like, no, I really think, I tell my brother, I'm like, yo, I think this sounds better than what I just heard on the radio. And you know, and maybe that was like a high thinking, but I believed it. And like, no one around me could tell me differently. No one could tell me like, yo, that sucks. Because I'd be like, nah, it doesn't actually. Like, I believe in me, and I believe in all of those things, those skill set and all those different things. Like, I think it's really good, actually. And it just needs to be heard. So when I look out the window and I see all these beautiful buildings and I see that skyline, I just know that it had to be created. It had to be created, right? So that just means that, man, if it had to be created, then I think I'm an heir of whoever created it. So I and if this is my like passion to make music, then I think that I got a good shot. Now, here's the tricky part, right? There's so many ears and so many eyeballs in the world. How do I get to them? Out of the basement of Pomona, New Jersey, where the wires, you have to go like this. And how do we do that part, right? I tell you how we do it. We do it. We'll hold you back. The day that you thought about doing a podcast, you did it, right? There's no holds barred. It's just like, I got an idea. And the writer is. And now this is helping millions of writers, right? So the concept of everything is to what? Dream it, believe it, and then go out and achieve it. That's it.
You're still making music. I mean, the first song that was on the reel just now was Ray. Are you better now than you were when you were 16?
I'm wiser now. I don't know if I'm better, but I'm wiser. My approach is definitely much smarter.
What would you tell young Rodney Jerkins if
Go
you
to
could
sleep.
talk to him?
Go to sleep, bro. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. I would tell myself what my brother would tell me. Go to sleep, man. I remember 1999. I'm going out to LA to work with Michael Jackson. And I was so excited. You guys have no idea. Because at 11 years old, I said I was going to work with Michael Jackson someday. So, and I met Michael Jackson through Teddy Riley when I was 16. He introduced me to Michael. And I told Mike I would work with him. And he looked at me like and laughed. It's like, okay. And fast forward, you know, I got in the studio with Michael, and I'll never forget this. I was so excited that I couldn't sleep. I exhausted myself in the moment. I could not find sleep. One day went by, I was making tracks. The next day went by, I was making tracks. By the sixth day, my brother said, go to sleep. You haven't slept in 6 days. It's time to go to sleep. I said, are you crazy? Yeah. Are you out of your mind? This is Michael freaking Jackson. Like I said, I'm here. He said, yeah, but you will die if you don't go to sleep.
You will not make it there.
Yeah.
You're here right now.
And I said, you know what? I think in the sixth day, I had did 60 tracks in 6 days. And I went to sleep after that for one whole 24-hour cycle. Went to sleep and then did it again.
People say Michael Jackson's really funny in the studio. People who worked with him say had an incredible sense of humor. What was your favorite moment in a studio with Michael Jackson?
I think, you know what? I think for us in the studio was he liked to bet video games. So like we would bet, like we played pool. And first time I played pool with Michael, he said, whoever wins has to buy the other person like 20 DVDs. And we were in New York working at Sony Studios on 54th Street. And I know I'm a shark at pool. So I'm like, this dude's crazy. Like, it's not beating me. And I have this documented, by the way. This is on video. I played him and I scratched on the 8 ball. And it was like 11:30 at night. And Harvey Mason Jr., who was my engineer at the time, who was also now the CEO of the Grammys, he was with us that night. And so he can confirm the story. And Michael's like, okay, we got to go get the DVDs. I'm like, yo, bro, it's 11:30 at night. He's like, okay, and what? I was like, we're not going shopping at 11:30. He's like, yes, we are. And he put on this like funny grandmother-looking outfit. This changed everything. And we went that was when Virgin Mega Music Store was in Times Square.
And it was up in 24
hours. And me,
hours,
him, and Harvey went to the store to shop for these DVDs. And that's just like one goofy story with Michael, because that's just how he was. And I'm just like, this dude really wanted DVDs that bad? Like he probably has every DVD imaginable, you know? But yeah. I think it was more about me. I think he wanted to like show me up, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he won a bet, man.
Yeah, he won the bet.
Pay up.
He won the bet, pay up.
You've been obviously defining a bunch of artists from the beginning. Brandy and Beyonce, Bieber. We're here this week partly celebrating, the Songwriter Week started because it was around Songwriter Hall of Fame, I believe. Maybe that's not true, but I just made that true. And so there's got to be some reflection. And when you look back at your catalog, what do you think your impact has been on the craft of songwriting itself?
I think it's been inspirational to others. Coming up in the time that I came up, the mid-90s, which I call the golden years. So it's funny, right? So when I would listen, especially when it comes to R&B, I would listen to radio in that time, and it was really all about Babyface. Like there was a time when you really didn't hear anything else but Babyface. You're like, man, it's just crazy. It's just pretty much New Jack Swinging and Babyface. Like, and when the Boys Mind went #1, it changed the course of radio. It created a different tempo, a different drive, a different pulse, and it became inspirational. And what I mean by that is I didn't produce Love Don't Cost a Thing by J-Lo, but it sounds like something I would have done. So it started to inspire others. And I think that's the beauty of music, right? The beauty of music is when you can create something that inspires someone else in a way that they go back to the drawing board and look at what they're creating and say, maybe I should try some new sounds, or maybe I should try and sprinkle this type of thing on top.
Who inspires you now?
My children.
I love that.
I got 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, 17, 15, 12, and 10, and they're all musicians. My son was at midnight last night, my 10-year-old was playing me beats. And
I assume your advice was go to sleep.
Yeah, after I heard what he did, I was like, okay, cool, now go to sleep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I get inspired.
You've been up for 6 days, man.
Yeah. I get inspired by it because it's like, man, here it is. Like, of course, he's probably looking at me like, yeah, my dad makes beats. But then I'm looking back like, man, this kid's incredible. 10 years old and you doing this, right? And I'm just like, man, I tell him, I'm like, man, I wanted to be a producer at a very young age, and I was able to start making music at a very young age, but I'm not even close at 10 years old to where my son is at 10 years old. Not even close.
Do you advise younger writers to continue to pursue a career in music, knowing the general landscape of things right now? Like, is now a good time to be a musician?
Why would you ever stop? Why would I ever discourage anyone to do something that is such a blessing to have, a gift that is such a blessing to songwrite, to make music? I mean, think about it. Really? Make music? You said, if someone would have told me at 5 years old, yo, yeah, man, you're going to be, making music for the rest of your life. And I'm like, really? I get to make music? It's beautiful, man.
I've been here for 24 hours, and I think there have been 600 mentions of AI and the ability to create music without any skill set other than prompting, which I
That's a
suppose
skill
is
set,
a skill
by the way.
set in itself. So
Yeah.
I don't want to totally knock that.
Yeah.
But as somebody who plays all the instruments, when you hear technology working in that way, do you see it as a tool or a threat?
Tool, never threatened by anything, but always a tool. If I was threatened by things, this is how I look at it, right? Let me give you my view on it all. I was blessed to see the era of the tape machine. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of a project, Michael Jackson's actually, in the middle of the project, we were from tape machine to Pro Tools. Okay? Pro Tools became a quicker tool for me to be able to accomplish the same thing that I was doing with the tape machine. It was just quicker. So when I look at AI, I see it as a quicker tool for me to utilize. It's not going to replace me because I'm too good to be replaced.
Well, and because you were born with taste.
With taste. And no AI, at least not now. Now, I can't tell you what the future holds, but I can tell you no AI can't do what it does without us. So if you have to prompt it, it has to be able to be utilized by us still. It just doesn't wake up and start making beats on its own. It doesn't write songs. It just doesn't work that way. You have to still do the work, right? So I encourage people like, okay, yeah, we will evolve and time will go, but don't get it twisted. Like you guys, the songwriters, you have something in here that AI doesn't have. That's all. It's just a tool.
It's absolutely a tool. And I'm gonna just go off on a second on the tape machines. My first record deal, we recorded to tape, which meant you had to be rehearsed. It meant you had to write a song, play it, make mistakes, fix it, rehearse it, sleep on it, go back, rehearse it. And the songs would get better over time. By the time you got to a tape machine, you better be rehearsed. It was way too expensive to just show up at a studio and record the master the same day that you're writing the song, which is what we do now. I tell all my writers this, so this is like my free advice is don't send out your day of demos. You have to be able to go back the next day and beat what you've done. Everybody in here who writes or knows somebody who writes, the next day they always wake up and then they fix the mix and then they send it out the second time to people being like, hey, no, listen to this mix. They're not going to listen to that mix.
Facts. Facts.
That will change your career just like that.
Yes.
When you work with, you worked with Beyoncé at a really young age. Watching her trajectory, how do you feel the start of her career affected where she's at now?
I mean, we kind of knew going into it. The first song I ever did with Beyoncé was with Destiny's Child. It was called Say My Name. And you kind of knew in the room when you're doing it, you know, it's like every choir has that leader. You kind of knew like, oh, there's the leader, right? And it didn't mean that the other three in the group at the time weren't talented. It was just that you knew that she stood out. Her controlling the session of what she wanted, the things that she wanted to do, you knew it was something there, right? And we all knew. We actually talked about it. We're like, oh, when she goes solo, it's over. She's gonna be. You just know it, right? You just like we felt the same way when I worked with NSYNC about Justin. You just feel it in the room, and I'm sure people, the producers that produced the Jackson 5 felt the same way about Michael. You just know it. I think the trajectory. I think it was exactly what it was supposed to be from the gate, from the beginning, from the first day that it was ever the group was created. Everything. I think they all knew, like 20 years down the road, she's gonna be way up there, and she put a lot into it. And I remember the transition when I worked with her from the group, and then I also worked with her on her solo project. And when we did Deja Vu, I even saw a different Beyoncé than was in the group. And I saw someone who really came into her own as a solo artist. And I was like, whoa, like you saw the difference in literally a few years' time. There was a big difference.
Is Deja Vu where Beyoncé met Jay-Z?
No.
They were together before that?
No, I heard they met on a video shoot even when she was in Destiny's Child, way before that. That's what I heard.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
You said your first song you wrote with Destiny's Child was Say My Name. How do you write Say My Name?
Oh, so I was in London working with the Spice Girls. And after our session was over, they took me to this club. And at this club, I heard this interesting style of music, which was called like garage two-step. And I heard it, and the inspiration happened, right? I'm like, I don't hear this in America at all. And I'm like, I gotta take this back to the States. And I remember walking through the side, went up to the DJ, and I said, hey man, I'm leaving to go back to the States tomorrow. You think you can make me like a CD to listen to on a plane? And he was like, yeah, I got you, bruv. And like gave me this, came and gave me the CD. And so I get on the plane and I'm flying to LA because I had a session. My session the next 2 days was with Destiny's Child, which I didn't even know who really Destiny's Child was, to be honest, right? They only had like one song out before that called No, No, No or something, right? So I didn't know what to give them. I just knew that I was inspired by the sound. So I'm flying and I'm listening and I'm studying the rhythms and I'm studying all the intricate details of the patterns and why it's moving this way. Why is it skipping these beats and why does it feel like it's, in the upper hundreds versus where I was used to doing stuff like this. I'm, the boy's mind is right here. If you have my love is right here. Everything I'm doing is more like this. So why am I going right? I'm going there now. And so I get in the studio, before I could even touch a piano or anything, my songwriter partner, LaShawn Big Shiz Daniels, was in the lounge on the phone with his baby's mother. And they always argued. Always. This was not new. This was something that always happened. So I'm walking into the lounge and there they are arguing again. And I'm just listening, kind of like sitting there. Session's about to start. No one's there but pretty much us. And I hear LaShawn say, now mind you, they're not even together. Okay, let's keep that. Let's just understand this. They just have a kid together. They're not together. But I hear LaShawn say to her, well, if no one's there, then say my name. Say my name. And it's like the light bulb just. And I said, hang up the phone. Hang up the phone. It's like, what? I said, hang up the phone. I gotta go. I said, say my name, say my name. That's it. Let's go. And we wrote the song, Say My Name.
That's a good song. We can go to Deja Vu. I mean, that was a big hit. Good job.
Thank you.
How did you write Deja Vu?
I was really challenged for Deja Vu by Max Goose gave me a call, her A&R at the time, and he goes, Beyonce's in the studio in New York. Just want to let you know we're looking for, some music, some records or whatever. And I said, what's the vibe? And he's like, she just wants some energy. She wants some energy. So this producer / incredible bass player, John, was at my studio, and him and I got in my car. We drove to 7-Eleven, which is literally 2 to 3 minutes from my studio. We drove to 7-Eleven. I'm in my car, and I'm listening to Michael Jackson's "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," the Off the Wall album. And I'm listening. I looked at John, and I was like, "Yo, we got to get in the spirit of that for Beyonce." And I went back to the studio, and I started playing this groove on the piano. The melody's in the piano. You can listen to it. And then John picked up the bass. And it was over. It was really that simple. And then we had Makeba and Delisha, different writers in the studio, and everybody started rushing. Like whenever anybody hears like music that's inspiring, everybody bum rushes the room. Everybody bum rushed the room, and then next thing you know, Deja Vu formed. And then I went to New York to play it for Beyonce, and like she was writing the video treatment as I was playing it. Like seriously, like I was like playing it, and when it went off, she was like, "Yeah, I see the video. Then I want to put Jay on it," and I was like, "Yeah." As soon as she said she wanted to put Jay on it, it's a single. Like it ain't, like that's what you're shooting for, right? You hope you get the single, right? As soon as she said Jay, I was like, "Yeah, we got Jay." Okay, we good.
That's also a good song. We started about talking from tape machines to before we go back to some more songs. We were talking about tape machine going to Pro Tools. You've seen consumers go from CDs to MP3s, CDs to LimeWire, to MP3s to streaming. How has the development in consumer technology changed how you write music?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think the technology, when I think of some of those songs like you just pointed out, some of those songs were like leaning into the 5-minute mark. And I think when technology started to form, we started finding ourselves like, oh, we gotta come down a little bit on these time stamps, right? 4 minutes is starting to feel too long. And you start listening to others, and you're like, this phone is out, and this is out and people kind of want to hear songs even shorter. I was working with Ray a few weeks ago, and she was like, I just want to do some 7-minute songs, right? Cool, let's just do it. But I think how technology forms, even like, so just hear me out for a second. Why people have to be wise about AI, right? So for a long time, think how long it took for everyone to have the phone. Like an Apple phone, like a lot of people have Apple phones. I bet you, if, like I said, raise your hand in this room, probably 95% of this room probably has Apple, right? But think how long it took for that to happen, right? Now, like with AI, think how fast it's happening, right? The adoption of AI, how fast it's happening. And when technology starts to form, and us as songwriters, we do have to somewhat think differently, right? Because MP3s, I used to hate it in the beginning because I was like, man, my quality is missing. Like, I'm not hearing it the way I know it's supposed to sound. You're supposed to hear my music a certain kind of way. I feel bad that in the last 20 years, so many people have been robbed of the joy of what a tape machine truly brings, right? Like what that sonically really means, I think people don't even know now. And I think that's why when someone discovers something from 30 years ago, they're like, whoa, why is this? It just sounds so different. Well, that's probably one of the reasons, the sound quality, right? But we've been shrinking things to fit into technology. We're shrinking it, constantly shrinking it. We gotta be careful that we don't shrink it till it's no more. Gotta be careful. Because a few years ago, I was in the car with my daughter, and this, not a few years ago, she probably was about 6 or 7, and I noticed a pattern. We were in the car driving, and every song that was playing, after 1 minute, she went to another song. I literally was clocking it. And I was like, okay, I'm seeing something happen. And this Gen Z world, I see what's happening. They hear something for 1 minute and their attention span switches to the next. And that's why we have the TikTok generation. Now, mind you, my daughter wasn't on TikTok. This was just a natural response to music. She'd be like, I can't wait to hear the song. Let me play the song, Daddy. Put the song on, and 1 minute later, I can go to the other song. I'm like, oh, snap. Like, she's not even listening to the whole song. She's
like an A&R person.
You said it. I didn't.
You wrote Telephone.
Yeah.
That was a good song.
Thank you.
Lady Gaga featuring Beyonce.
Yeah.
That's the two most powerful singers maybe of that entire decade. How does that song come together?
It comes together through the genius of Jimmy Iovine. Because the genius of Jimmy Iovine decided that he wanted Lady Gaga and Rodney Jerkins to write for the Pussycat Dolls. So I'm in the studio every day with Lady Gaga writing for the Pussycat Dolls. And then one day, I get a call from Larry Rudolph, who was Britney Spears' manager, and said, I need a song for Britney. And I said, Gaga, I just got a call. You want to go do something for Britney? And she said, yeah, let's do it. And we get in the studio, and I start playing my infamous harp sound. And next thing you know, Telephone forms. And then Britney came to the studio to lay it down, and we didn't like it. And I worked with Britney since like the 90s, and for some reason, just this wasn't the right song for her. And 2 years later, Gaga calls me up and she goes, remember that song we did called Telephone? I was like, yeah. She goes, I want to do it. I want to put it out. It's like, really? She goes, yeah, but I want Beyonce on it. You think we get Beyonce on it? And I was like, yeah, let's try and do it. So I called Beyonce, and she's in Japan. And here's the key part about this. It had to be done that night in order to make Gaga's deadline, because she told me literally the day before. So Beyonce sends me the song. I sent her the song, and she goes, I can't do this. And I said, why? She goes, it's too techno pop sounding. And I was like, give me 20 minutes. And I went back in and I redid the beat for the second verse, flipped it a little bit to feel more her, sent it back to her. And she said, send me the file. She was in Japan. And then she cut it and sent it back.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, considering also where she ended up 2 albums ago, that when she's like, that's too techno.
Hey, nothing new under the sun, right? I think I had something to do with no.
One of the fun things of watching Rodney Jerkins in a studio is how many broken synths there are on the floor, because he plays a synth like it's a drum kit and it's still not a drum kit, but he'll play it like it, and they're just there's synths with keys missing. They're just all over the place.
Nothing better. Nothing like breaking a keyboard, man. My brother used to play in church. I kid you not. My brother, I get it from my brother. He used to play so hard, his fingers would be bleeding in church. Like they had to bring him tissue, his fingers would be bleeding. So I saw that as I was 7 years younger than him. I see that, and so I'm like, try to break.
But you have soft songs too. I mean, "Stay With Me" was all right.
Yeah, kind of soft.
That was a big song too.
Kind of huge.
It's not like all the other songs you have.
No.
How does it feel to have a hit that is out of the ordinary from other songs that you've done?
I mean, it's a beautiful thing, but it comes from the people who, created the song, right? So Dan McCarroll, I was at Capitol one day, and Dan McCarroll said, we got this song called "Stay With Me" with this guy named Sam Smith that we're trying to get right. He goes, I've sent it to 4 different producers, and no one has been able to capture what we want. And he played it for me. It was just piano and vocals. And I said, give me that song. And he said, what are you gonna do with us? I'm gonna take it to church. And I remember the first thing I did was get to my house, and I told my engineer, I said, fire up that B3, I'm gonna hop on that organ. And I had never fired it up in my new studio at my house. So I was like, fire it up, I'm gonna get on that B3. And that was the first thing I did. And then it was just more about, with a song that good, you have to be very careful. With that song, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if there's any producers in this room, but the art to producing is to be very careful. When something's good, you gotta make sure you complement what's good and what's great, because you could easily overproduce and take away from it. And I was going that route in the beginning. And it goes back to what he says, don't send the song in at the first demo. I was working on it and building, and then I'm like, nah, we gotta strip it back. It's starting to we're losing the song now. We're losing the song. It's starting to sound like Rodney's song and not Sam's song. And I started to strip back the layers and started finding what I thought was the ear candy that worked for it. And then I sent it. And then Dan said, you nailed it. And I was like, and I remember seeing Nick Raphael, I still have it to this day. Nick Raphael sent me an email thanking me. He was the A&R over in London. He sent me an email, and I said, see you at the Grammys. That was my response. And he responded, he said, from your lips to God's ears. And then literally 6-8 months, I saw him later at the Grammys.
You have 19 Grammy nominations.
I do? Thank you. I didn't know that. You get that from AI? Who told you that?
I don't know, whoever wrote the notes.
No, AI is AI is really cool though, because the other day, my friend, no, this is really true. I don't know if you guys on Muso.ai or something I don't be checking that type of stuff, right? So I have a team, and it's my team right here they're from Sweden, actually, called Chapter 2. You guys should look up Chapter 2. It's really dope for songwriters to know about your songs and what the value of things are, right? And that's what they do. But I had somebody the other day call me, he's like, yo, you have 39 billion streams? I was like, how you know that? I don't even know any of that stuff. He's like, man, go look up yourself on music.ai. And I'm like, that's where AI works. Because Because now what we could do is, which we couldn't do before, check this out. Now we can actually see what the value is that we really have. So when you guys are building catalogs, you get with a company like Chapter 2, and they show you the data, right? And be like, yo, this is the true value. A lot of us don't know our true worth, our true value, right?
That's frightening, man.
It's real frightening. I'm gonna tell you why. Because what happens is the other side, they tell us what they think we're worth, right? They say, oh yeah, you had some hits here, you did this, and this is what this says. And then the company like them says, nah, that's not true. This is what it's really worth. This is what your value truly is. And they show you in that with that graph and what that really looks like, and you're like, oh yeah, I like this. And everybody needs that. Every songwriter needs to know their true value, their true worth. Every songwriter.
Are you an aspiring songwriter right now?
I am. Want to make a song?
Yeah, I do.
You get a keyboard, we do it right now.
This would change this conversation.
You know how we do, Raw. You know what we do? It's early tonight. We go to the studio right down the block.
I mean, my family's in LA right now.
Hey,
you know,
and the writer is live sessions. Like that could be the next thing. Right?
Hey, I didn't say no. No, I think what's one of the things that I always say about the podcast, genuinely, is when I was younger and my mom used to tell people, like, oh, what's Ross doing in LA? And she's like, well, you know, he's a struggling musician. I was like, no, I'm just a musician. And what the whole point of this podcast is to show that we're all struggling musicians. I don't care where you are.
Yeah.
Like, not every session you do is a hit.
You know how hard it is to get a placement? Do people really know that? Do people really know how hard it is to get a placement? Right?
I mean,
think about it, right? Someone says, oh yeah, Dua Lipa's working on a project and we're looking for this type of song. You know how many songs are being created to try to get to that project alone? And then the ones that produced her and wrote for her before are always going to get the first opportunity and look. So the one who might have something really special might not even get a chance to be heard because the line is too long. The point of entry is too much nowadays. It wasn't like that in my coming up time, right? Because it was specific. Like they knew who they wanted to hire. They knew who they were going to get. These are the 2, 3, 4, 5 people. We're going to do this project, and that's it. It was just that simple. Now it's like, I hear so many about like 200 people trying to, just two that I know of, 200 that's trying to get on this same project. Like, man, this is crazy, you know? But that's why it becomes really rewarding when it does happen, right? And that's what makes it exciting at the same time, because it's like, dang, word, I got on that project. It's like 1,000 people trying to get on that project. We must have really did a good job this time.
And that could be for an album track.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the part that's hard to explain. I'd say if there's one obvious part of technology that's been difficult for songwriters is that those songs that weren't Say My Name, weren't Deja Vu, but were on those albums, were massively valuable. And now you get that 10th song on Thriller, You're Set for Life. You get your 10th song on that Dua Lipa album, which is phenomenal and huge, and you're not set for life. You're not even set for a year.
Yeah, and that's why we have to keep on, as writers, we have to bond together to take a stand against this, because it's just not fair. There's no reason why I should have 1 billion streams on a song and I might be able to pay my apartment note. That kind of like doesn't make sense. Like the whole idea of it doesn't make sense.
One thing that I have been advocating more and more about is to have fewer songwriters on a song. No matter what we say about it,
That was a pound if you're listening and you didn't know what I just did and you heard everybody laugh.
It was really loud. We just
pound.
didn't have the mic on it.
Gave him a pound.
But people don't recognize that the dilution of a copyright is maybe the most detrimental thing to the songwriting community, because it's normalized now to be giving out percentages to people who are not songwriters. And that is not normal, and that will not stand. And songwriters will eventually stand and say, we are not going to give publishing to the guy who just showed up.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have it both ways. If you have 1 billion streams and you're one writer, you're okay. If you're Diane Warren, if you're back in, you're fine with one writer. But you are not if you're one of 8 writers.
Ross, let's speak on it real quick, okay? And why I can speak on it, because recently, my team in Sweden, and I remember Jonas telling me, he's like, man, you got 50% on like every song you do. I was like, yeah, well, I created 50% of every song I did, right? And let me speak to this. Technology has ruined that art form. And I'll tell you why. It's called sharing files. So, I was actually in the studio producing Beyoncé, Michael Jackson, Lady Gaga, Mary J. Blige, Whitney Houston, Justin Bieber. I can keep going. I was in the studio. They were like in the booth, and I was the ones, do that again. No, that's flat, that's sharp. Do it again, I was in there. Now, technology says, hey, can you send the files? Because I want to cut it tonight. Well, let me get on a plane and then we can cut it. No, I want to cut it now, tonight. I want to get this, right? So now what happens is your work has went out to whoever it is, right? When it goes out, that person might be like, yeah, I think the verse could be, let me send this to Ross. Can you write the first verse on this? Because I feel like the first verse isn't strong enough. Now, mind you, I don't even know this is happening. So then Ross strikes the first verse, sends it back. The next day, you're like, how's the song? I'm still working on it. Then they're like, oh, maybe we should tweak it a little bit more. Then they send it to somebody else. Oh, I like his second half of the first verse. Am I right, Ross?
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
So after 2-3 weeks later, like, yo, guess what, bro? Like, what? You got the placement on that artist. Word? Dope, I can't wait to hear it. Then you get it back, and you're like, dang, it's a little different. And then it's time, this is when you have to have the realest conversation. The publishing splits. And then the publishing splits say this: 3, 5, 4, 10, 6, 5, 7, 12, 48. And you're like, whoa. When I sent it, it was literally 2 people. Now it's like 7 or 8 people on the record. And I'm being kind by saying 7 or 8, by the way. Because if you don't believe me, just check the charts and you'll see where you see multiple names like 13, 14, 15. They're like, whoa, what? Like, how does that even work? Like, is someone so scared to go with it that they feel that just one word has to be written differently by somebody else? Like, I'm trying to still figure it out. And the only thing that I keep coming up with is the power of sharing the file, sending it out to multiple people. And then it keeps going, and then finally it comes back and everyone's, well, I did that word. That was my word. And then the intern in the studio, no, I actually said that word. That's what happened.
One of the tools that songwriters can have is to say, fuck you. Mm. You can't have that song. No.
And tell me how many times you've heard that. Tell me.
I mean,
You haven't? Don't stutter.
Well, it's weird. You know why? Because I can write a song by myself. I have the skills. This is what I think hurt songwriters. I think the minute that I was called a top liner, I'm not a top liner. I'm a songwriter.
Can I ask a question? Who started the whole top liner phrase? I never heard that until like, I want to say probably like 2011 or 12 was when I started hearing that phrase. I never heard that. I always heard like,
saying that.
no, we want to put you in with this songwriter. I want you to work with this songwriter. I want you to work with this producer. That's all I heard. I never heard that one time. And then now I hear that more than I hear songwriter.
It's more important, these are the things of defining who we are as a community, but going out there and saying, no, I'm a songwriter. I can write a song by myself. I can write all the lyrics. I can write all the melodies. Doesn't mean that you should. It doesn't mean you shouldn't collaborate. But the skill set to be able to write and produce a song, whether it's, the production doesn't have to be as good as a Rodney Jerkins record. The song doesn't have to be as good as, whoever. It's but the idea that you have the skill set to do it means that when I go into a room, if the producer doesn't show up, I can sit at a computer. And I can do a beat. And if the artist is like, I don't know how to write lyrics, I can write lyrics, I can write the melody. And if I want to write a song alone, I can do it. That's the only way you can.
There's a reason why it's called songwriter and not like verse writer or chorus writer, like song in entirety. Yeah.
We're talking about one of the things I think about a lot, especially when I talk to somebody who is, I'm so excited for you for Thursday to get to go up and be inducted in the Hall of Fame. The reality is that I had a conversation with Allie Willis at one point, who wrote September and the Friends theme. She passed away a few years ago, and she said, "No, you shouldn't ask about the hits. You should ask about what happens between the hits, because that's when the hits were written." No,
that's facts.
What's the lowest part of your career?
Shoot, that's a deep question. The lowest part of my career. Man, I don't. It's hard for me to answer that because I don't live in that space.
That's an answer.
I know how to get back up. I don't live in a low spirited frame of mind. Like I'm always. Let's go. Let's rock. Let's go. Let's get it. Like it don't matter. So the lowest part of my career, I will say it would have been 2003. Okay. And it spilled over from a lot of long sessions with Michael Jackson. I exhausted myself so much till I couldn't create. I couldn't hear. I was like trying to find it. You know how you ever trying to find something? It's past writer's block. This isn't writer's block. It's not that. This is like, yo, where am I type thing. And I never forget, the lowest part was this, from a career perspective, because I don't get low. But this was it. Usher came to the studio. He was working on the biggest album of his career called Confessions. He came to meet with me. And he said, came and played me like 5 songs. Like, yo, we gotta work. We gotta do a song together for the album. I said, I can't. Which is so unlike me, right? Because I'm the one that's gonna like give it my all. I said, I can't. He said, what you mean you can't? I was like, I'm just not in that space right now. He said, what? I said, creatively, I'm not in that space. And what it was like, I was just burnt. I needed a break from everything. You ever need to just break from everybody and everything? I needed to break from everything. I need to reset. Even computers know they need to be refreshed. And I needed to refresh. And that's when I came back and did Deja Vu, after I refreshed. And it was my breath. And Telephone. And One Wish. And As Long As You Love Me. I refreshed.
So you did have a low moment,
that was
and
my
you
moment.
Got yourself out.
Yeah, got out. You don't stay in your funk. You gotta get, like Leah said, dust yourself off and try again. Like, the thing is like, you have to recognize what you need to do. And for me was a lot of times, and I might have been there even before, but I would work myself through it. I would know how to work myself. This time was different. I needed a break. I needed a physical break from everything. I needed to just stop for a second. So I took, some time to myself and kind of just reset. And when you reset, what's interesting about the reset, is that you start to hear things differently. So now I'm always about new sounds and evolving and trying to find a fresh sound. I couldn't hear a fresh sound when you're in that space. So now once I refresh, it's like, oh, now I'm hearing, like, I can actually hear the birds sing outside. What's crazy? Like with nature, if you go outside and if you're loud and you're busy, you don't hear nature. But when you refresh, now you start to hear, like, oh, those birds is chirping kind of nice over there. Like, wow, like the rain sounds really good. And it starts to open up everything else now. Now we can create again. Let's go. Yeah.
Do you ever see yourself retiring?
Of course.
What? Not of course. You?
Of course, yeah.
I don't see you retiring.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I didn't say what I was going to retire.
This is not what I thought you were going to say.
I didn't say what I was going to retire from. You didn't let me.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. I just don't believe you, but go for it. No, yeah. Okay. So you think you could retire?
Listen, I see myself, and I believe I've been doing a great job of this for at least 25 of my 30 years. I feel I've been doing a great job at this. I've been doing a great job at seeing other people's ability and talent. I've been doing a great job of being able to nurture and develop other talent. So I could never retire from that. I think my future would be, what I don't want to ever be is, you ever see like rappers who are still rapping and they're like almost 60? I don't ever want to be that. Like, I just don't want to be that. I just don't want to be the person where, like, yo, we might have to get the wheelchair. And like, there's people like that, by the way. There's people that I look up to and they still be wanting to do studio sessions. I'm like, nah, you don't need to be doing a studio session anymore. Like, you've really done it, right? I don't want to be that. But what I do want to be, I want to be in people's lives to give them wisdom and to give them hope of what they can become if they just keep pushing themselves, and be able to give them some knowledge on how to get there. That's all I mean. Retiring from going in the studio every single day of my life, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I have children, I have family, and I love my children and family. So as I want my children to succeed in life. So if it took me to stop, if my 10-year-old said right now, Dad, I need you to stop making music because I need you to focus on me, I'm done. So I know what that means, right? Thank God he hasn't said that. Hopefully he doesn't. But for me, it's more about, like, how can I give back? How can I help writers succeed? How can I help people see that they have a value that they might not know they have? How can I tell people that your unreleased songs are going to be worth more than even your released songs? All those different things.
I'll help you. I'll help you focus on the kind of people you've developed in the past. I don't know if we've had a guest that has had 3 different proteges as guests on this podcast.
Really? That's cool. Which ones?
D-Mile.
Yes.
Tommy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria Monet.
Mm-hmm.
They were all, this is so great. They were all sharing an apartment together. If you haven't listened to the D-Mile episode, you should do that. They were all sharing an apartment together, going to the studio with you and pushing each other. Like, I think the group I came up with in the business, there was a lot of healthy competition. We do writing camps. We'd be in the studio all the time. It's like, oh, no, I'm going to write the best song that day. That's, to me, one of the things that's really hurt the music business. Why I like that I have a studio with multiple rooms is that when people write alone in a room, they forget who they're competing against. And I there was a really talented writer I met with in Nashville who's the best writer in his school right now. It's like, that's great. But you're not competing with anyone at that school. So until you're writing 20 songs better than I'm writing, finish school. Because your competition isn't the people at school.
That's right.
It's the people who are out writing songs professionally now for 20 plus years.
That's right.
And when you're in a studio where you can walk in like the old Hit Factory or whatever, you can walk down the halls, you're like, oh shit, they're doing that album right now with that artist. I got to go in that room and write a song. Now I go in that room and I say, I need to write a song that's better than any song that they have there. Because I'm going to go before they're done tonight. I'm going to walk this song over and be like, I need to play you a song. And that competition is just gone. And
that's what I miss the most.
Yeah.
If anything I miss the most is that part right there. Like, that's where we flourish. Anybody that has a competitive nature knows this. Like, you know, you get up for the fight. You know what I mean? Put me in a room, put me in any studio at any time of my career, as long as there's multiple people in that studio, and watch what happens.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, that's what we long for.
What's it like to see the success of your proteges?
It's amazing. It's funny because I got a text from Tommy Brown the other day, and Tommy Brown texted me his BMI plaque of The Boy's Mine for Ariana Grande. It says, I got mine too. Right?
That's sweet.
Even though mine was better, but no, that's another story. But no, I'm just playing. That's just the competitive side of me. But no, and I love it. I think it's amazing because I remember like D Mile coming to my studio in Jersey from Brooklyn at 15, 16 years old, and like it could be play music. Okay, that was cool, man. Have a good day. Or it could be, nah, you staying here. Like, you got it. Like, we just got to develop it a little bit, right? And so when I see whatever you sow, you shall reap. That's scripture. Whatever you sow, you shall reap. So if I sow into these young lives, then I believe we're going to reap the benefits of hearing great things. And so I continue to look for young talent. One of my guys, Spacey K right there, who is the young talent that I love so much. Because like I want to see them flourish and get to that, just to the pinnacle and know what it feels like, right? And if we could be part of that experience for them, man, it's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing.
It really is. I think the part of being a publisher that is, especially a creative publisher, so you really become part of the musical education. The whole thing is just connected in that way. Are you going to church?
When?
I don't know.
I have church.
I mean, your dad's.
I have church.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Okay.
So every 2 weeks at my studio, I take my lounge. I have a lounge, and I turn it into worship service. I set up the organ. I set up all a lot, and we just get in there and we play music for like 2 hours. We pray together, and that's it. And we do it, and it's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful fellowship. We feed the people, and we laugh, and we just have an incredible thing. You know, I don't consider myself anything close to what my dad was coming up, having a church or whatever. But I just think that God has been really good to me, bro. For my whole entire life, has been really good to me, and I'm not taking it for granted. I think I took it for granted for a while, but I'm not taking it for granted anymore. Like, tomorrow's not promised, and so I just want to be encouraging to other people as much as possible.
I mean, music in church is really the family business.
I got my whole sound from church, by the way. Everything you saw in that video earlier came from me being in church. I used to run from my church to the studio because when I was working on Brandy's albums, my studio was right next to the church, like literally, it's like 50 yards away. So I would like be in church playing something. I'd be like, well, that sounds good. And I'd run over to my studio and lay it down. Like, seriously, like a lot. So, you know, I believe that's part of somewhat, if you want to really get technical, I believe some of the problem that I've heard amongst music is not having enough people that came from church recently. Like there was a moment in time where like everybody was like, yo, D-Mal came from church. You know what I mean? Like this one, like they came from church. You hear it. Like I hear it. When I hear certain music, I'm like, I hear that musicianship. I know what that is. I know what it is. You know what church is? Like from a musician standpoint, it's tough. It's tough for singers on choirs. It's like you don't want to call it a competition, but a lot of times they be in there competing for real. And I remember me being kicked off the drums. You know how many times I got kicked off the drums, bro? Like you don't understand how many times I got kicked off the drums because I wasn't able to keep up with some of the fast music that was going on. And they're like, get him off the drums. Get songs, get him back on the drums. That's the beauty in it. And it made me get back and sharpen myself, get tighter, because I didn't want to be kicked off my own mother's choir.
It's so embarrassing. Do you make all your kids play, quote, real instruments?
Oh, yeah. They all have to play 2 instruments, even though my oldest son, who's a golfer / piano player, he thinks golf is his second instrument. All my kids have to play 2 instruments. I had to play piano growing up, so me and my wife created a house rule, like play 2 instruments, but piano is necessary. So they all have to play the piano, which they all do. And then my oldest daughter, she plays guitar and cello, and she wants to start taking the bass. She plays piano. My youngest daughter plays violin and piano, and my youngest son, he plays cello and piano.
It's fucking awesome.
It is. It's a blessing.
Do you guys have you done family recordings?
We have something really special happening really soon. Ooh. My kids, very soon, very sooner than soon. And I'm excited about it.
Any more elaborating on that?
Nah, thank you, Buzz. You just have to see it.
Thank you for doing this podcast again, man.
Why wouldn't I? You're Ross, bro. Why wouldn't I? Thank you. Why wouldn't I?
I mean, look, before we finish, it's one of those things where the same thing, Teddy Riley opened the door for you, right? Like you had...
He's opening the door for me this week, too.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, thank you, Teddy. Yeah.
A lot of us, you can't underestimate how valuable quality mentorship is. Just knowing that somebody says, keep going when you play them that shitty song and they say, no, that's not it, do another. That's not it, do another. Because I know I see more. And man, you were one of those guys for me where it's like, I walked in and I was like, I don't know, you can beat that. And the fact that like you knew which song right just now, you sat down. We wrote that song 13 years ago. It still hasn't come out.
It still has value.
It still has value. It has value.
It is. And I just want everybody to know that, if you can learn if you learn to take certain phrases out of your vocabulary, you have a better shot in life, right? So it's like, for those who like to constantly use the word can't, maybe just take that apostrophe, that T out, remove it. And every time you want to say can't, just say I can. And I think you'll see your life start to get better if you just speak positive things in your life. Not only in your life, in your family's life. Sometimes, families get separated, broken into different things, and it's all because of disagreements and all these different things, right? But if you start to speak positive about it and be like, we're actually going to be okay. Like something is going to happen where we're going to get together again. We're going to talk. We're going to songwrite again together. We're going to be friends. You start talking positive, and I just believe things start to change and good things start to manifest. But if we live in a space of the apostrophe T, the can't, I won't, all these things, and we'll never see the real possibilities of what we can really be and what we're really destined for. Everybody is destined for something great. And sometimes we just got to dig a little deep and find it. And I'm glad that I found it early. And I'm glad that I've been blessed enough to be able to hopefully encourage and inspire other people to find it. And you're helping everyone find it, by the way, man. Everybody give up for my man Ross because what he's doing is the platform is allowing us to be able to speak freely. And every time I watch, I learn something new, right? And I love that I can keep learning. And so I'm blessed to know Ross and know that he has a platform that's here to help everyone in all facets too, not just the songwriter, but executives are here, producers are here, like managers are here, catalog specialists are here. Like, you know, you bring them out and you give us the nuggets and the jewels that we really need in a very simple, unique, honest way. And so thank you, bro.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. There you go.